The Buddha once taught that the one who sits alone, lies alone, walks alone, who is intensely diligent in their practice and alone masters their own self, will find joy in the solitude of the forest. In the hurried current of modern life, where the definition of happiness is often measured by the number of people surrounding us, by the clamor of ephemer, of eva, celebrations, and the abundance of material possessions, people seem to have lost the value of silence. Solitude has become a terrible fear, an invisible curse that most of us desperately try to escape by clinging to phone screens, social media, or superficial relationships. Yet, strangely, almost all spiritual paths and the greatest philosophies seeking liberation in human history celebrate and encourage the solitary lifestyle and absolute stillness. This is because only when we withdraw from the societal rush and the external noise can we find the path leading to liberation and internal truth. If you are feeling lonely, if you are living alone and your mind is flooded with negative thoughts and a crushing sense of emptiness, please stop and listen. The isolation you are experiencing might be a curse, but it could also be the greatest blessing the universe offers. Everything depends on how you perceive and utilize this precious time. Loneliness is the state of lack, of emptiness, even when you are in a crowd. Solitude, however, is a conscious choice. It is a nurturing environment where your soul is renewed and strengthened. This is the fundamental difference between a life controlled by fear and a life guided by wisdom. Consider the journey of Prince Siddhartha, who would later become the greatest Buddha on earth. He was not born into solitude. He was a prince living in luxury, surrounded by every sensory pleasure in the palace. He enjoyed everything that society deemed successful and happy. But then he realized that submerging himself in these material pleasures did not help him find the true meaning of life. And he made an extraordinary decision. He abandoned the palace and the company of others to seek the truth. His journey began with solitude, but even in the deep forest, he did not immediately find peace. He fell into another extreme. The first extreme sensory indulgence he had already left behind. The second extreme was the self-mortification of asceticism at Latin yoga. He joined a group of 5 ascetics who believed the only path to liberation was punishing the body through the harshest and most extreme meditative methods for 6 years. Prince Siddhartha practiced this ascetic lifestyle, but eventually, he realized that physical torture also failed to help him achieve his goal. One day, Prince Siddhartha realized that both extremes, indulgence, and self-torture were paths leading to exhaustion, not enlightenment. He decided to abandon asceticism and sought the middle way, a balanced path between material life and spiritual life. He used his begging bowl for the first meal in many years. The 5 ascetics, who had placed immense expectations upon the prince, witnessed this act and were utterly disappointed. In their eyes, this was a sign of weakness, an abandonment of his purpose. They thought Prince Siddhartha had returned to ordinary life and might go back to the palace. They decided to leave him. This event held profound psychological significance. It was the moment the external world completely withdrew from Prince Siddhartha's life. From someone always surrounded by others, whether palace guards or 5 companions in the forest, he was now completely alone. This imposed solitude suddenly became the most potent catalyst for inner development. He had the full space, time, and energy to focus solely on himself, on his breath, and on the truth within, free from external judgment, free from the expectations or disappointments of others. It was precisely in that moment of absolute solitude that Prince Siddhartha was able to sit under the Bodhi tree and attain enlightenment, becoming the Buddha. The Buddha-esque story teaches us a core lesson. Stillness is not an escape but a prerequisite for finding ourselves. When solitude is used correctly, it is a great blessing, a perfect opportunity to return and explore the inner temple of our soul. But if not used correctly, isolation turns into a curse. It creates an inescapable vortex of negative energy. Many people come to me complaining that they feel lonely, that they live alone, and that negative thoughts rush in. They want to find a way to destroy that negative energy. But let us recall the most basic scientific principle of energy conservation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. Loneliness is a form of negative energy trapped within you, and trying to destroy it will only exhaust you. The only thing we can do is steer it, redirect it toward a more positive source of energy. So how do we steer this ship of loneliness toward the light? The answer lies in establishing a goal, a system, and a purpose in life. One of the biggest reasons people feel lonely is that they lack a clear objective to pursue. When you have a specific purpose to work toward and contribute to, whether a material or spiritual goal, you will no longer feel lonely because you have an eternal companion, your life purpose. Imagine your mind in a state of loneliness as a rudderless boat on the open sea. Without a goal to steer toward, the boat will be swept away uncontrollably by the winds of negative thoughts and sink into the storm. But if you have a goal, you will use that very wind, the concentrated energy of loneliness, to hoist the sails and move forward. The important thing is that all of us, no matter what material success we are pursuing, must also have spiritual goals, mental qualities to develop. Because a day will come when we must face absolute solitude. That is when we must walk alone on the final road of life. If, at that time, we have not built any internal qualities, we will fall back into that negative spiral. And sometimes by then, it is too late to start. The transformation of lonely energy requires you to use your time alone to ask yourself core questions. What should I do with this life? What kind of person do I want to become? What qualities do I need to build? Honestly look at your weaknesses, your shortcomings, the bad habits you need to improve. When you start working consciously to overcome those weaknesses and refine those qualities, you become meaningfully busy. And to do that, what do you need? You need time. Time is the most valuable asset that solitude provides. It is the time to focus completely on yourself and on architecting a better version of yourself. This is why I always advise people to set aside a specific time during the day just for themselves, what we call me time. Me time is essential in modern life. If you cannot spare hours every day, start with 15 minutes to sit down completely alone, without a phone, without social media, without films or any other distraction. There is only you and your thoughts. Learn to be with those thoughts, listen to them, observe them without judgment or escape. This is a small but powerful practice. It helps you become more inwardly focused and gain a clearer understanding of the workings of your own mind. Stillness is not emptiness but fullness. Deep within every human being is a great source of strength, a wellspring of peace and wisdom. But we can only touch that source when we create the space for it. In your loneliest moments, you stand at the threshold of enlightenment. Remember that, like the Buddha, his liberation did not come when others were present, but when he bravely faced his own isolation. Solitude is a gift, an opportunity for you to cultivate spiritual qualities, to prepare for life's challenges, and to become a person who is more successful, more peaceful, and happier. Please do not fear loneliness. Learn to turn it into your most reliable companion. Apply these small practices to your life and enjoy the sacred stillness. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.